Now we're back with our now 14th. To recap, Draymond Green, Michigan State. Number 15, most hated or cannot stand player for Chuck. Out of my top 3 that are playing today, Keaton Page. Number 2 on my list playing today, Tyshawn Taylor. Tyshawn Taylor.
That's almost like with Kansas, like a rotating, because you could have Josh Selby last year.
Mm-hmm.
He played that role. It's almost like the same type of guy every year, and he's there for a year.
And then he got all these accolades last year about being the best point guard. How can you say that? And he just left bad. I mean, we had Deontay Garrett. Yeah. He had an all Big 12 season.
Yeah.
And it all went to the team. So, he had the media killed him for me, and he just helped his way along. And you're going to see a recurring theme with the whole Kansas thing on my list, I have to admit. So, number 14 on you.
I'm going with some Minnesota guys. Sam Jacobson from the 97 team, and Chris Humphreys. And, the thing I like about Chris Humphreys was he wasn't bad in college, but he thought he was so good he could just go pro. He'd have been so much better another year in college. There's nothing wrong with 1 or 2 more years in college.
Yeah, being handsome only gets you so far.
Yeah, and because he still needs a jump shot.
But he is playing, and we're sitting here doing this show.
I'm happier, I think.
Okay. All right, so good stuff. Hopefully Kim Kardashian doesn't give us a call or send us an email at CyHawkThoughts@yahoo.com.
She could, or maybe she'll find us at Caffeinated Thoughts.
Maybe she will. And check out our stuff there.
Yeah.
Or follow us on Twitter at CyHawkThoughts. So, Kim, we just talked bad about your boy, or ex-boy.
No.
But, all right, on to number 1 player that I cannot stand that is playing today. Then after this, I'll get my in history of the Big 12. At least my history. Number 1, Jeff Withey from Kansas.
Do you want like a Kansas sign to just hang up?
Yeah, just KU. Jeff Withey, 7-footer. He gets credited for about 6 blocks a game. Probably legitimately blocks 2, but that's what you're going to get when you're with Kansas. I'm not a Jeff Withey fan. I don't like his nose either.
No. Pinocchio.
That guy, Kansas always has these weird-looking big white guys.
Speaking of weird-looking white guys, I'm with Andy Kaufman, not the comedian, but the guard from Illinois. It's my number 13. He was a thorn in Iowa's side in the 90s, beat him with a Hail Mary 3-pointer. I think it was about 94, 95-ish. I don't like him.
Don't like him.
You can find that clip still on YouTube, and it's just harrowing.
Yeah.
Should I move to number 12?
Go to number 12.
A couple Wisconsin guys, one old, one new, and one guy that really, they both stuck it to Iowa in different ways. Sam Oakey in the 90s said, Iowa, I'm not going to Iowa. I'm going to Wisconsin. And then at the end of his career, he transferred to Iowa. Played a few games and he got hurt and he was done. Thanks, Sam Oakey. You're awesome. Ben Bruss said, I'm going to Iowa. And then, in the midst of everything, he's like, you know what? You're going to let me out of my scholarship, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. And, of course, Iowa said, sure, whatever you want, because outside of FERPA, we'll let you do anything else you want. And go ahead. Go to Wisconsin. Can't stand him. Thank goodness he went like 1 for 72. He's the only guy that's ever missed a shot against Iowa this year. And he missed a lot.
So no bitterness there on those two.
What?
No bitterness there on those two. All right, so I'm now to my...
love to hate.
Yes, Big 12 players I can't stand or couldn't stand in history of the Big 12. Once again, my history. Start out with number 12 from Nebraska, Alex March. The guy was slower than molasses and still found a way to put up 30-some points and 14 boards against Iowa State. Don't ask me how he did it. I had to watch it and fast forward just to make it look like it was live television. Alex March, you've made the top 12 on
He
Steve
only
Meyer's
put up
list.
like over 20 points a couple times. It was either Iowa State or that one time in the Big 12 tournament, and he went nuts.
So Alex March.
That's a great pick. I went with a guy who's still sticking it to Iowa, Sean Morris, local guy from Altoona. Won't hold that against you. But in the 80s, you were upset that Iowa didn't recruit you. Well, when you got Greg Stokes, Michael Payne, you got other guys coming in potentially like Al Lorenzen, do you really need a dude from Altoona? No, they had plenty of guys, but he personally held it as a grudge. He still gives Iowa the shaft today on the Big Ten Network, and I don't like him.
Kind of like Doug Gottlieb, except he didn't even play for Iowa State. He would be on my list. He would be. But he wasn't that bad as a player.
Let's see how your recall is. So Doug Gottlieb, what school did he get kicked out of for
Notre Dame.
infractions? Good job out of you paying attention.
I do, every once in a while.
Maybe we should have posed that as a question, too, and see if anyone was watching.
We should have.
All right, what do you got?
Number 11, players in history. Greg Ostertag.
I thought he had been up higher on your list.
No, Greg
Man, that guy is-
Ostertag from Kansas.
Ah.
Just another ugly big white guy. He wouldn't have been any good if it wasn't for Jock Vaughn, who I did not mind from Kansas.
Yeah, Greg Ostertag, though, I did love him in the movie Goonies.
That's good.
John.
Hey, you guys! Wait up for Greg Ostertag! That is good. Greg Ostertag, number 11. All right, now we're cooking.
Yeah. Number 10, we talked about him in the first show. I don't like the guy, and you talk about goofy. John Sherna is goofy.
Looking kid.
That guy, now if I had him in my astronomy class, he'd be the guy I want to sit by and get notes from because he is smart, and he looks smart, but he doesn't look like a three-point shooter.
He beat Iowa State up pretty good too when we went to Northwestern. So I am going to second this motion. John Sherna.
Ah. Two Northwestern guys in a row.
Yeah.
Our IQ just went up. That's the only good thing that comes from that.
Yeah. So we're going to go number 10.
I forgot this for Greg Ostertag.
Greg Ostertag. Yeah, we don't need that one up this time. Chris Mim, Texas.
Oh.
The only good thing that ever happened to Chris Mim is when Pfizer dunked over him. That was one of the best dunks ever, and he got posterized. Thank you, Reverend Marcus Pfizer, and thank you for posterizing Chris Mim. Chris Mim, don't like you.
No, you do have certain theme going with your...
Big guys in KU.
Yeah.
Big guys in KU.
I like it. Well, my number 9 guy, I didn't have initially on my list, but I talked to enough people this week.
I'm glad you have him on.
Yeah, and this makes sense. Tom Coverdale. Tom and the Coverdales. Number 9, Indiana. I forgot how much, after watching the tape, how much I do dislike this guy and love to hate him.
If you ever notice watching an Indiana game, it doesn't matter if he was a freshman or if he was a junior, senior, doesn't matter. The kid always had the exact same haircut, and it bugged me.
Yeah. It was like he didn't have hair. It never,
Yeah.
it was brutal.
Well, I like Tom Coverdale as a pick, too. I'm glad you decided to put it in there.
Yeah.
School number 9, Eduardo Nahara,
Oh.
Oklahoma. Very good player. Don't get me wrong. Very good player. But boy, would that guy whine every single time some call happened to him. And I've watched games, he'd whine in his native tongue.
Oh.
And that guy would just whine. And I thought it was hilarious.
Whine in any tongue.
Yeah.
Still whine.
Who did he run into Mateen Cleaves? And that's the one where they had the head-on collision at half court.
I do not know.
Okay, that's a trivia question.
There you
if
go.
you can name who ran into Eduardo Nahara and basically both of them got knocked out, send it to CyHawkThoughts@yahoo.com.
Yeah, send us a clip too. That'd be awesome.
I'll actually find a clip as
All
well.
right.
So, Eduardo Nahara, you made my top 12 Big 12 players that I cannot stand.
I have a similar pick like him coming up that he's like my Eduardo Nahara.
Once again, another big guy.
I went with some Michigan guys as my number 8. Different generations. We'll start with Dane Fife. There's a lot of Fifes in this world, but Dane Fife I really just didn't like. Zach Novak, he doesn't score much unless he's playing Iowa. He's a current guy. Don't really like him. Just wish he wouldn't play. And then for those people that were around in the 80s, if you were looking for a guy in your team that looked like Prince, that's Antoine Jobert. And the best part about Antoine Jobert was Scott Skiles calling him Fat Boy in the Michigan State game in the 80s. That was just on Classic not too long ago. Very good game, and anytime you get Scott Skiles calling someone Fat Boy, that's kind of fun to watch too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. See, we're getting some history in here as well. I mean, you're watching this show. You may not know some of these players, but you'll be able to look them up now, and you'll be able to see who they are. Number 8, I do have a tandem for number 8. I have the Rush brothers. Both of them played in the Big 12. One for KU, the other for Missouri. They were a thorn in Iowa State's side. Big shots after big shots, late game situations. Those two brothers killed us. The Rush brothers, Kareem and Brandon, you've made my top 12.
Bah! Number 7, Randy Brewer, Minnesota. He's 80 feet tall, and his claim to fame was when 7-Up was doing those cap things like 10 years ago. They showed him on there without the jersey. He was 15-year-old clip. He played in 82. There's a lot of Minnesota guys back then on those Jim Dutcher teams I didn't like. Randy Brewer, you're the tops.
Never, you know what? I can't say that I know that guy.
That's all right. He's goofy. He'd be on your team if you knew him.
If I knew him, good. Big
80
guy,
feet tall and
big,
goofy.
Okay, well that makes the list. Number 7. Now this pick would have been higher, except I've turned out not minding him since his career at KU. We have Paul Pierce comes in at number 7. He's a player. Don't get me wrong. You went to KU. You hurt the Clones. You hurt every team in the Big 12. But since you've gone to the Celtics, I'm going to be honest with you. He's been fun to watch.
Good pro.
Yes, and he's been fun to watch. So, big head on him. He came out, said he was the best three-point shooter in the Big 12, or not the Big 12, but the NBA. I think he ended up winning the three-point contest after he said it. So the guy's a player. At KU, couldn't stand you. Getting a little better now, but you still made my top 12.
Yeah, because the list isn't guys who went pro that we like now.
No, it's not.
Number 6, some old Ohio State guys. Brad Sellers, his claim to fame was jumping for joy when Michael Jordan hit a shot over Elo. Troy Taylor, call him Fang Face as a kid. Him and Ron Stokes. Ron Stokes never did it. He was a hand check guy. I didn't like that. But Troy Taylor, call him Fang Face.
Fang Face, nice. Number 6, Bryant Reeves, Big Country, Oklahoma State. Yeah, boy, could that guy. That guy was great at taking up space. He was too wide to even get a 3-second call in the lane if he was standing in the middle of the lane because he still had a toe out.
He's like a sequoia.
He was.
You could drive a bus under him.
Oh, I know. I mean, you could just cut a hole right through him.
Yeah.
But Bryant Reeves, another big, goofy guy from the Big 12 in my top 12.